Welcome to the TK Show with the Athletic Bay Area's Editor-in-Chief, Tim Kawakami.
All right, everybody, it's Tim Kawakami here, TK Show. Welcome. We are recording live from the Kawakami household again. Get that good sound in my little private studio. And once again, it's really good to have as my guest someone I always enjoy talking to, and someone who some things are going on right now with the team and everything else. But really great to have on the Giants manager, Bruce Bochy. Bruce, how you doing today?
Hey, Tim, I'm doing fine, just fine. Getting ready for spring training, not too far away. Excited about what's happened this winter with our new additions. Had some horrible news yesterday with my old GM, but other than that, doing great. Had a grandson, so it's been, we've had the good and the bad this week. Yeah,
lots of life things happening, and let's address Kevin Towers, who died, was suffering from cancer. And the reaction from baseball has really struck me. That this is, I didn't really know him very well, but just seems to have touched so many people's lives. And the people who knew him, and you obviously knew him real well, just love the guy. What's the reaction when you do hear something like this?
I really just love the comments that I've heard from his peers, the general managers, other people in baseball, how he affected them. Tim, he was a friend more than my boss. We started out as teammates, and then my first year managing in Spokane, he was my pitching coach, and we went different directions. He went on the scouting side, off the field. I stayed on the field managing, and long story short, became my general manager. But I think why people love him, Kevin, he just had that energy. He just loved people. He was such an honest guy with everybody. He made himself available and loved to talk baseball. And so I think he helped mentor some other young GMs. One Theo Epstein out there in Chicago. But they were all really good friends, and that's where the game's changed probably a little bit because of the sabermetrics, analytics. Kevin was he was known as a gunslinger. He went with his gut. He was a scout guy, trusted scouts, and he made his decisions like that. And so, he was someone very, very highly thought of.
The other, you become a grandfather, which you noted. Your first grandchild, I think, right? And what's that been like?
Oh, it's just been amazing. Week Wednesday, he was born at 5:07, and a lot of people I've talked to that have grandkids go, "There's nothing like it." They talk about it, but until it happens, you don't really realize how special it is. So I've had a lot of fun this week spending time with Braxton. He was a big baby, 9.3 pounds.
Wow.
And I know he doesn't know who we are or who I am, but we're having a lot of fun, and I'm going to try to spend as much time with him as I can before I go to spring training, because I won't see him for about 7 weeks.
You mentioned being excited going into spring training, and I know guys are always excited, but everyone has noted that you certainly have liked the moves that this team has made, trading for Evan Longoria, trading for Andrew McCutchen. I mean, did you go in as thinking, okay, let's get a couple mid-career guys and we really could sustain this? Was that kind of your thinking going into this offseason?
You know what, Tim? I can't really say that was my thinking as much as I just thought we needed another bat in the lineup to stretch out. Which I really believe was a thin lineup last year, especially when we got nicked up with Belt and missing Pence for a while, and we just needed another big run producer, maybe to take some pressure off Buster. But to get two guys like this, two guys who were the face of the franchises, two high character guys that are going to fit in here so well. But they're great talents, and they're good defenders. They're awesome hitters. And, they're impact guys, and they're going to impact our ball club. And, we had a lot of trouble with scoring runs. And as you well know, we were lacking power, and so they're going to help provide that. So it's going to be a different lineup. And I mean, why wouldn't you be excited when you get two guys like this? And on top of those two, I mentioned Austin Jackson. he's come off a good year, and he's very underrated. And I don't know if we can run him out there every day, but he got almost 300 at bats last year for Cleveland, and he helped them get to the postseason.
I know you guys have talked about him as kind of outfielder, play all the spots. Is it the way are you pointing him to maybe being the main center fielder though, and maybe depending on what Duggar shows you, but Austin Jackson right now is your main center fielder?
I would say that. That's how it's looking as we go in spring training. I do think it's going to be important that we keep an eye on, and not just Austin, but a guy like Pence, he's getting a little bit older. Make sure that they get some needed rest. So going into this, I think you're looking at Jackson along with it's going to be competitive. Between Gorky's, now we got Blanco, Duggar, and we're going to break with our best guys, and so we'll wait and see what happens. Probably won't know until we get deep in the spring training exactly what we do in the outfield. Now Parker's in the mix too. Yep. He's had options, so we got to figure out what we're going to do there with all the guys. And again, it's going to be competitive, and we'll see what happens.
And I know all this will be decided through the spring, but do you have an inclination on who the leadoff guy is going to be?
Yeah, that's the one I do get asked a lot, and I really don't right now. I mean, and not to mean I haven't run a lot of lineups through my head, Tim. It's amazing every day you're running through some different lineups. Jackson has a lot of experience leading off. Whether Blanco's going to play that day or Gorky's or Duggar, but you got a guy like McCutcheon who. He's more of a speed guy. You have an on base guy like Belt. So there's a lot of options. Then you're thinking, well, he's more of a RBI guy, run producer. Do I want him leading off? One guy that I thought did a great job, as just loaded with energy, is Pence.
Yep. And
he loves it, and it's a pretty good guy to have leading off when he provides that kind of energy.
Yeah, that would really extend the lineup. You put Pence, you'd have 6, 7, slot 6, 7 would be some pretty heavy bats, I would think.
Yeah, it would be, and it probably would make it a little bit easier splitting them, the righties and lefties. Right now, you look at how we're sitting, it could be stacked up on the righty and lefty side because of McCutcheon and Longoria. They're more harder of the order guys, along with Buster and Pence. So if Pence did go to a leadoff spot, then you can put a lefty in a 2-hole and maybe mix Belt in the 5 or 6 hole. So you don't have 3 or 4 righties and 3 lefties. So these are things going through my head right now.
We always know the Giants are going to go for it. They don't rebuild. But Bruce, was that at all kind of a conversation this offseason? Well, did we want to? Was that brought up at least around a table, or was it always, we got Buster, we've got Bumgarner, we're going to just try to extend this as long as possible? Well,
I'll say this: when you're having your meetings, along with all your scouts in town, you're having your org meetings, we call them. You cover everything, and there's always somebody who says, maybe we should punt and build our system up. Somebody's thrown that in, which is good because you don't want everybody agreeing on everything, and you want somebody to express their opinion, on what they think. So sure, you had a couple guys that said, maybe if we backed up a little bit in the long term, it's going to be better for us. But the way we look at it, we were just a year away from being in the postseason. Granted, we had a tough second half there, then followed with a tough season. But there's some other things, variables that we couldn't control that were involved, with the injuries. So we feel like we still have the core that can get us there. You look at this division, how competitive it is, and we think that window's still there. So as long as you believe that, then you do all you can to get the type of players that may get you there. That added piece that you need, and I just think Bobby's done a great job. Brian's done a great job of doing that for us.
What would you say if someone said, "Okay, we're going to blow this up and start over again"?
What would I say? That's a good question. I mean, I'm sure people will go, well, Boch has been around a long time. Does he need to go through a rebuilding? I've been through a couple of them, and you know what? It's challenging, but I always look forward to it. That's part of the game, and sometimes these decisions aren't mine. They're baseball decisions made by the front office, and my job is to make it work. So that's how I would look at it. If that was decided, then I'm going to do all I can to make that work, and that's what I'm hired to do and paid to do. And so I don't think you ever stop thinking like that. Now, I wouldn't say I'm not going to go through that. But I've been through it, and it can be rewarding. But there's nothing like having the resources provided that as you go in spring training, you have a chance to win. That's not always the case, Tim.
Yep.
Sometimes that winning is not your decision, and it's nice to be in this situation. Trust me.
I especially think when you've got Buster Posey there, in his early 30s, you don't want to tell him, Buster, the last years of your prime, we're not going to win. I think for me, that's a big deal. I'd imagine it might be for you, too.
No, I agree. Yeah. Right. No, you're right. We're Buster and Crawford, they're all right there in the prime. So you have 4 or 5 guys right there, and including Bum, and you got Cueto. And so, yeah, you're too close to getting back to where you want to go. So, yeah, it wouldn't make sense for us right now.
I know you were talking throughout the season, last season, what was going on. You've been asked about it since, but my question, I guess, would be, what did you learn about this team through that tough run? Were you watching guys to see how they responded, and how do you think, you're taking that into the spring?
You know what? It's a great question, Tim, and it's something that I've taken a hard look at. When you look at the different seasons, when you have a winning season, what's different than what happened last year. And so you do look at things, and there's some things that we'll talk to the players about, and I think we can do a little bit different. But that's my job, is try to figure out how to get this team on track. Anytime you get derailed, then you're doing all you can. But again, I think we were a little short on depth. I think that caught up with us, and when you're missing a couple key guys, that's always going to affect your club. But more importantly is just what I think we got to work on a little bit is just get that swagger back. Mm-hmm. Our clubhouse. We talked about it last year. Just get a little more life maybe in there. Because guys, they're used to winning, and sometimes when you're used to winning, you think it's just going to happen, but it happens because you make it happen. You want it to happen, and we might have lost a little bit of that, to be honest. But these are things we'll talk about. Is
you talking maybe personality is part of that too? I don't know. Just the noise in the clubhouse, the noise on the bench, a little bit, maybe a little more amped up, trying to get that going.
Yeah, the personality of the player. You don't want them to be something they're not, but there is something about having some guys around that are different than you. Maybe we've always been a really diverse club, and that works. I'm telling you, as long as you appreciate it, I'm convinced that it works. When you have your rebate, and I'm just giving you an example.
Yep.
Of course, Pablo, when he came over, those guys, they did bring a lot of personality, and it just changes things up when you have guys that maybe aren't quite all the same. And but also we got to take it upon ourselves. I do. I think as players, this kid. I just think this chemistry thing plays a bigger role than most people think. I know we're caught up in the numbers and everything, but the culture and the chemistry of the club does play a big part of your success.
This is the cliche question I'm going to ask you, Bruce. You're still a relatively young man. I don't want to be pushing you out anywhere, but you've achieved a lot, and you've had some health issues. I know you feel great now, but did last season or anything make you think, well, maybe there's a couple years I've got, or anything like that's popped in your mind recently?
Yeah, it's funny, Tim. You're getting older when, of course, you get asked that. Cause especially when we have won 3 World Series. Hey, or that's enough, isn't it? Aren't you content? But that's what I love to do. I don't know what else I would do right now, and as long as I have that drive, and as long as they will have me, sometimes it's not your decision, but I tell people all the time, if I retired, what would I do? I probably would go teach or coach a team or manage a team somewhere, just for a little bit, because that's how much I love it. Now, I'm sure it's going to hit me. I've talked to Bobby Cox and Bruce and Leland, those guys, and they all say, hey, it's going to hit you, whether physically you're feeling it too much. Now, last year was it was a tough year. I started that AFib thing, and but we've gotten that taken care of. I just feel unbelievable right now. I mean, it's just so much better when they get that taken care of, because this AFib thing can wear you down. And there's for some reason, there's a lot of head coaches that catch this thing, and it's a lot more prevalent than I thought. But we've gotten it taken care of, and so I feel great right now.
I know you and Brian, are kind of looking at this and saying, hey, this thing can extend. Brian, though, has mentioned, hey, a lot of guys are being looked at, and he included himself in this. Is there any sense that you've accomplished so much, both of you, but is there a sense that, okay, this season, after last season, they might be looking at us at some point?
Oh, of course. I would never stop thinking like that. I've got a job to do, and things don't go well in this game. You're going to be looked at, which is how it should be. You saw what happened this year. I mean, I lost some really good friends and coaches, that are still going to be with us, but that's not easy. Change is hard, and you understand, hey, it can be you too. That goes with the territory, and that's what you have to deal with when you are a manager or a head coach somewhere.
Just want to ask you, the commissioner is definitely talking about new pace of play rules that just might be implemented, whether the union is going to agree to it. Are you in favor of this? Something, a clock, certain things that are just going to be timed out instead of kind of the regular baseball just flows on its own? Would you be in favor of some kind of clock on a lot of different things?
I would be. I would be very much in favor of trying to speed up the game. I think it's going to create so much more interest, especially with our younger generation. At times it gets a little slow for them, I think. There's, different ways that they're talking about doing it. The clock, I think the timeouts, and what I mean by that, when, different players on the field are going to the mound, and then the catcher goes to the mound, and he goes back, and then the pitching coach goes out. Commercials can be a little long. I think maybe they can tweak that a little bit. These are things we talk about this spring, but this winter in the winter meeting. So I think there are some things we can do, to keep it moving a little bit, and I think it's going to be good for the game, because there's certain teams, especially you play, you're probably going to be 3.5, 4 hours.
Yep. The World Series games, some of those playoff games, and I understand it's under pressure, and you don't want people to pull the trigger until they're ready. But when you're going into it, like you said, it's going to be a 3.5 hour game at minimum. That can test the patience a little bit. Does it test the patience of you even? I'm not saying you're losing focus, but are you thinking at some point, hey, let's go here, let's get this thing going a little bit?
Oh, I do. I do that more than you think. I'm on the umpires. Get them moving, and especially like I said, when the team sends a catcher out, talk to the pitcher, then he walks back, and then the pitching coach goes out. I think there should be a rule against that, and sometimes they're stalling. You get a guy ready, you get that, but it just stretches out the game too much, and this sign stealing thing. Now that they have the replay, and that's becoming involved with, players running up there trying to get signs and stuff, and they're going to do something this year. I think they're putting they're going to monitor the phones. They're going to tape every conversation in the dugout. So they're trying to knock that out too, because you'll see sometimes a hitter, he'll be up there and he'll call timeout like he has something in his eye. Mm-hmm. Now, of course, we're thinking, well, he's trying to, to get the sign from the guy that's on second base who just doubled, and so they're stalling to see if they can get the sign. So these things I think we can knock out too.
Yeah, I was wondering, I imagine you go through times where you think you're pretty sure that the other team is trying to steal your signs, right? you're pretty sure.
Oh yeah, it's especially with the technology today. I mean, these cameras. Back when I watched Game of the Week with Kurt Gowdy, you couldn't see the fingers on the catcher. Now you go and replay, and man, you can see what's on his nails. It's just amazing what they can see. And after the game, they spend time watching it. So that's why you got to change your signs all the time. But that can be done beforehand. Have a number of different signs that you use, and change them every inning. Then that stops that.
Yep. Hey, I want to mention you participate in a book that's coming out. I guess coming out soon, or is it already out? It's called Bochy Ball: The Chemistry of Winning and Losing in Baseball, Business, and Life. With doctors Kevin and Jackie Freeberg. How did that come about, Bruce? And did it change a little bit when you were going through last season? Maybe the theme of it changed a little bit.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that, but. This is a book that it's actually coming out within the next week. Okay. Kevin and Jackie Freeberg have been longtime friends with me over 20 years. And after 2012, Tim, they said you won 2 World Series. Mm-hmm. They've written 8 books on chemistry and the importance of it and the culture of a organization. Now, this is the first one of those sports where they just I think the Giants are having a great story. And I said, well, I don't think I'm quite ready. Well, after 14, I agreed. And so it's really a book about chemistry and what it is, why it matters, and, how you bring it about. And so it talks about that. And so I don't want this, it's called Bochy Ball, but it's not about me. My picture's on there, but it really focuses on the chemistry and continuity that runs from top to bottom and with the Giants. So it's I think very well done, and I'm proud of what Kevin and Jackie did, and and that of course a lot of it's through a conversation with me, and so it's definitely going to be around Fan Fest and of course spring training.
I assume you're telling some stories about the 2010, 2012, and 2014 seasons. I think some good anecdotes in there that fans will want to read.
Yeah, it does. It takes you behind the scenes. Some things that we did, meetings and things like that. We do talk about that, and of course, we compare it to other companies. Kevin does, and Jackie, and things that work for us. And getting back to what you were talking about, now as we agree to this, we proceed to have one of the worst seasons ever last year. Yeah. And so I kept apologizing to him. I said, Kevin, man, and he says, no, this is great because every business, they have a down year, and we need to know how you're dealing with this, how you're handling it, and what you're doing. So it talks about the art of winning and losing in baseball. So we do talk about that. That
gives it some texture. I mean, that's I'm interested in that for sure. Just kind of the ups and downs and how someone goes through that. Bruce, right. Bruce, I'll ask you the question I ask everybody. I don't want everyone to swamp to your favorite restaurant here, but I like asking everyone. Bruce, what's your favorite restaurant?
Gosh, yeah, I have so many that I like here. But I'm not going to be on the fence. I won't give you one here, but I love Alexander's. If I want a steak, but I Slanted Door and Ferry Building. I love walking down there. So I'd say I'd put those 2 up there. But we like going to different places. To be honest, try different things. I have a son that lives here. He's in the city. He's over by the marina. So we'll go to restaurants over there too.
That sounds terrific. Slanted Door. That's my vote. I'll go with Slanted Door every time. But listen, I appreciate all the time, Bruce. I appreciate talking to you. I'm sure we'll be seeing you real soon. And great to hear the pep in your voice. You are excited. I know you're excited, and I think Giants fans will pick off that if they're ready, if they haven't been excited already. So I can't wait for the season.
Thanks, Tim. Good talking with you. Thanks for having me on. I'll see you soon.
All right, Bruce. Thanks. Everybody, that's Bruce Bochy, and that's the TK Show for today. Thanks.